Good morning to all. Myself Professor Archana. We are continuing on Model 3 and today we are going to discuss ocean biological carbon sequestration and proceeding our last topic. Lastly, we were discussing about the ocean biological carbon sequestration and we are going to proceed this topic further. Under this, we have talked about how the ocean is capable of storing lots of carbon dioxide or greenhouse gases, that means carbon dioxide and methane from atmosphere into the sea. So today proceeding further on the same topic, there are three type of a processes of sequestrating or dissolving carbon dioxide into the ocean we do have. So we call that three carbon pump of the sea. So when chemical equilibrium reaction is completed in the surface water, which we were discussing lastly, so in three form, one was the carbon dioxide, further we do talk about the carbonate, hydrogen carbonate, and then we do talk about the carbonate. So when the chemical reaction is completed and in its three dissolved form of carbon dioxide, hydrogen carbonate and carbonate, it begins its journey through the marine carbon cycle. So this trip can happen in three different ways, all of which are designated as a carbon pump. So but which are significantly different in their basic mechanism. So we are going to talk about the three pump and they will be differ in their mechanism, basic mechanism which we will be seeing. So scientists differentiate these as a physical ocean carbon pump and two biological ocean carbon pump. One is the organic and one is the inorganic. So we do have here one physical ocean carbon pump. Then we are talking about the two biological ocean carbon pump, and one will be termed as a organic one and another one will be termed as a inorganic one. So starting with the physical carbon pump. The physical carbon pump is driven by the ocean currents and their differences in temperature and salinity. So we have seen when we do talk about how the CO2 is getting dissolved into the sea water and what are the different parameter which it does affect. So we have seen this temperature, salinity, wind, waves, they all affect the salinity. And how it does it affect some parameter we have talked also. So this physical carbon pump is driven by the ocean current and their differences in temperature and salinity. So it distributes the dissolved carbon, that is your carbon dioxide, hydrogen carbonate and carbonate, through the sinking or upwelling of a water masses in the ocean. So what it is doing, it distributing the dissolved carbon through the sinking or upwelling of a water masses in the ocean. So this process is the primary mechanism for transporting anthropogenic carbon dioxide emission into the seawater or deep ocean. In order to sink, water masses must cool down so that they become denser and heavier and they can settle down in deep sea. So this process occurs mainly in the polar region because the solubility of a carbon dioxide in the colder water is particularly high and surface water is thus carbon rich. The colder and more saline the water is, the deeper it sinks, taking the dissolved carbon with it to the greater depth. So what is required here? If we do have a colder and if we are talking having the more saline water, that means they settling this carbon to the deep sea is more. So this colder and more saline the water is, the deeper it sink and taking the dissolved carbon with it to the greater depth. Once there, the water masses subsequently spread around the entire world on a global conveyor belt of the marine circulation. Decades or centuries pass before this carbon-rich deep water returns to the ocean surface to take part in the gas exchange with the atmosphere once more. So once it reaches there, we can consider it is a permanently, it is a settle down. But eventually, the water masses rise again, usually at one of the coastal upwelling zone along the western coast of Africa, South and North America, or along the equator, primarily on the Pacific Ocean. So where this is happening in all surfaces of the earth, when we take the earth where this problem is happening, this water mass is again rising up where in the one of the coastal upwelling zone, and where that zone is, it is in the western coast of Africa, South and North America, along the equator, primarily in the Pacific Ocean. So when it reaches the surface, the water is warmed and releases a portion of its dissolved carbon dioxide into the atmosphere as a gas again. Although the long journey of the current rich water through the deep ocean can be seen as a beneficial from the perspective of CO2 emission, because it sequestrates the dissolved carbon in the deep sea, and it also comes with significant drawback. So what is that drawback? If the water masses at the sea surface becomes more acidic, a development that is now observable globally, their long-term circulation at the greater depth means that this acidification would have to be considered irreversible on the human time scale. So that is the thing we are talking about, the ocean acidification, and what is happening, it will become the irreversible on the human time scale. The second one, just we do first one we do talk about the physical pump. Now the second we are talking about the organic biological carbon pump. So what is this? It is driven by the biological communities in the surface water of the ocean. So this is where photosynthesis is carried out by single-celled algae. We call that phytoplankton, microalgae and seagrasses. So they use the sun energy to produce the biomass. For this, the plant requires carbon dioxide as a building material, which they obtain mostly from the surface water in its dissolved form. So they incorporate the carbon content in the CO2 into their biomass. So when the algae or seagrass is eaten, the consumer naturally also ingests the carbon content in it. So a portion of a carbon is returned to the sea as a carbon dioxide through respiration by the animals. So the remaining amount is retained in the form of a muscle mass or body fat. So subject to the natural processes of the ocean, carbon may thus migrate through the entire marine food web, from small crustaceans to various species of the fish to marine mammals such as whales and seal, and at the each step carbon is respired, converted into biomass and released in form of the feces. But the plants and algae may also simply die. When this happens, they descend through the water column along with the mortal remains of their consumer and their fecal matter. On the other way, towards the seafloor, dead biomass encounter bacteria and other microorganisms which break down a large proportion of the material before it can reach great water depth or the seafloor. So through this process, the stored carbon is again released into the seawater in the form of a carbon dioxide. So the remaining materials settle into the deep sea as a marine snow, and it is estimated that only 10 to 30% of the carbon bound up in the biomass reaches the water depth of 1000 meters or more. So the rest will be consumed before that. So upon reaching the sea floor, the remaining carbon bearing material, whether unicellular organism, fissile particles or whale carcasses, is almost entirely consumed by the inhabitant of the deep sea. So what remains is significantly less than 1% of the original carbon that was taken up by the algae. So if the carbon originates from the other sources, like if we do compare the same carbon from the other sources, if the carbon originates from the other sources like a wood, whalebone, etc., the proportion may be very higher. The ultimate remaining amount is incorporated into the sediment, which removes the carbon from the natural cycle for a very long time. So this is the diagram which is showing our organic biological pump. So this organic biological carbon pump of the sea involves the processes by which algae and plants absorb CO2 from the well-lit surface water and convert it into biomass, which then sinks towards the seabed. The crucial question for the balance of the global emission and the continued progress of climate change is how much of biomass sink to the water level below the surface layer mixed by the wind and waves. In the intermediate and deep water, we can call that deep ocean. In fact, the organic material along with the carbon it contains is trapped for decades to centuries, regardless of whether the biomass is eaten or respired or continues to sink towards the seafloor. So this is the one we were discussing, organic biological carbon pump, and here we do have the CO2 comes from the atmosphere, then we do have surface water, then we are talking about the twilight zone, then we are talking about the deep ocean. So how the process works. So talking about the phytoplankton, what it is phytoplankton in the ocean comprises many different species of microalgae. So they live together in the surface ecophytic zone, carry out photosynthesis there, and produced around one half of the global biomass. So sequestration in sediments become a significant quantity when considering the carbon cycle on the geological time scale. That means over the millions of years. So for the current development of a climate change, however, it is the amount of carbon bound up in algae and plants that sinks to water depth below the surface mixed layer that counts. So this is the layer near the sea surface in which water masses are regularly mixed by wind and waves. So this is the process it works. Once carbon bearing particles have left the surface layer, decade or even century may pass before they are their respired product can return to the sea surface and are able to escape into the atmosphere again as a carbon dioxide. So scientists therefore use the term sequestrated, that means taken up and stored, to refer to all carbon that is transported by the organic biological carbon pump to depth that are no longer mixed by the wind and waves. So there is no further disturbance and it will sink there. The last one we do have inorganic biological carbon pump. So let's get some idea of this one. So in addition to the photosynthesis which we have seen in the previous one, that is organic biological carbon pump, there is a second process by which marine organism biologically fixed dissolve carbon from water and ultimately transport it to the greater depth. So how it is working? So this is achieved through the construction of the calcareous shell or skeleton. So in this process, carbonate forming organisms such as calcareous algae, bivalves, coral and others extract the dissolved hydrogen carbonate from seawater and transform it into calcium carbonate to use as a building material. So when the organism die, their calcareous cells sink to the sea floor where they are incorporated into the sediment. In this way, carbon contained in them is removed from the natural cycle for millions of years. So with respect to the carbon dioxide balance in atmosphere, however, the inorganic biological carbon pump of the ocean is negative. So how? The explanation for this is that during calcite formation, hydrogen carbonate is removed from the water. As a product of the accompanying chemical reaction, this dissolved carbon dioxide is formed in the water. So this in turn increases the carbon dioxide partial pressure of the seawater, and once it increases the partial pressure of the seawater, thus facilitate the release of a carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. That's why we are talking this effect of inorganic biological carbon pump, it is a negative. So if on the other hand carbonate dissolve, which does happens under certain chemical condition in the sea, carbonic acid is consumed and the seawater then tends to absorb more carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. So we do understand three pump. One was the physical pump, the second we have seen organic pump, and lastly inorganic biological carbon ocean pump or carbon pump we have understand. So now we reach to the climate change as constraining factor. So with the acceleration of a climate change and the accompanying warming of the sea, the ocean capacity to take up carbon dioxide and store it will decrease. So what is the reason for that? So there are two primary reasons for this one. The first is physical in nature. So what is that? Warm water cannot store as much dissolved carbon dioxide as the cold water. So the second is related to biological carbon pump. So one effect of a climate change is that density related stratification of a water masses in the water column is strengthened. As a consequence, the layer of a warm, light and often nutrient-poor surface water becomes less prone to mix with the underlying nutrient-rich intermediate and deep water. So to certain extent, it is a cut-off from the nutrient supply from below. So due to the paucity of nutrient in well-lit surface water, there is a more of tendency for the growth of a smaller algae species instead of abundant, large and more productive diatom. So this smaller species produce less biomass compared to the diatoms and are therefore also able to store the less carbon. So in addition, rising water temperatures accelerate the metabolic processes of marine organisms. So they all need more food, which means that organic material is more rapidly consumed, broken down and recycled, thus usually at shallower water depth. The carbon dioxide released through these processes is then returned by the organism to surrounding seawater. The carbon dioxide partial pressure of the water thus increases, and what it does, enhancing the tendency of a carbon dioxide to escape into the atmosphere. So furthermore, climate induced changes in species composition can also have a negative impact on the transport of a carbon to the deep sea. So we get this idea of the ocean biological carbon sequestration, and we do talk about the different mechanism, and we do talk about the different form of a carbon dioxide which we have as a process of a chemical equilibrium, and the further we do talk about the different carbon pump in regard of a ocean carbon sequestration. Now previous discussion we do had the discussion about the there is some differences we will be seeing between the terrestrial or ocean sequestration. So let's discuss this one. So what is the definition of the terrestrial carbon sequestration? So terrestrial carbon sequestration is defined here as the increase in the amount and maintenance over time of a organic carbon in biological stock, and that would be driven by the plant assimilation of CO2 from the atmosphere. So talking about the biological carbon stock are largely controlled by actively cycling processes. That is, carbon uptake from the atmosphere, and respiration, that means carbon loss to the atmosphere. So talking about the carbon stock of interest are those that can accumulate and persist over multi-decadal time scale, namely woody biomass and coarse woody debris and soil organic matter. So here we do see terrestrial sequestration is often centered around predominant types of a managed ecosystem. So under terrestrial sequestration, what we are looking for? Forest land, cropland, grassland, each with multiple management or lever to modify the carbon stock. So other intensively managed land such as urban, peri-urban landscape contains biotic carbon stock in tree and green spaces like park and lawn, for which some of the sequestration practices described under the forest land and grassland category could apply. So we have seen in the previously, we do had the terrestrial sequestration, or we do discuss about the forest sequestration. So under that, this all has been covered. So wetland are also particular importance because they contain the highest carbon stock per unit area of the ecosystem. So where they have been drained and converted to crop grazing or forest production. So this is the couple of the talk about the terrestrial. So we get the idea of the terrestrial sequestration, we do get the idea of the ocean sequestration. So seeing these two, so ocean sequestration, what is the process we do have? Biological, and then we are talking about the physical. So biological, there is a, we do have the phytoplankton absorb CO2, so that's blue carbon ecosystem. Okay, this further we will be talking. And then another one, we do have the physical, that is a dissolved CO2 in seawater, potentially injecting captured CO2 into the deep ocean. Then talking about this key ecosystem, we do have the coastal blue carbon habitat, open ocean, that is your phytoplankton, storage, dissolved in water, sediments, marine biomass. We do talk about the rate and scale, huge potential due to ocean volume. Coastal system can be faster than forest, but overall marine rates vary. So here we had the ocean. And talking about the differences of these two, so ocean we get it, terrestrial we get it, seeing these differences. So if to talk about the location, this terrestrial on the land, here we do are talking the water primary mechanism. Terrestrial relies heavily on the plant photosynthesis and soil. Ocean uses biological pump, physical dissolution and engineered injection. Ecosystem type, here we do have the forest, grassland, and here we do have the coastal wetland, open ocean, plankton. Talking about the scale potential, ocean offers a larger overall storage potential due to sheer volume, but terrestrial systems are vital carbon sink now. Threat, both face threat from climate change, but terrestrial systems are also vulnerable to deforestation, while ocean systems face acidification and pollution. So this is all about the ocean biological carbon sequestration. I do stop it here. In next class, we will be talking the other sequestration. Thank you for all. So this is all for today. Thank you.